Hey there, Fellowship family. Welcome to your one-stop shop for all things church life. My name is Mark Francis, and I'm once again your host for today. And we're going to have some conversations with a great, unique couple. Josh and Michelle Wyckoff, one of a kind. How are you guys?
Doing great.
That's a great introduction for you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
No, I felt
Slightly
good.
odd.
Unique couple. And in our fellowship, in our fellowship family podcast, we really like to use these as just a way to get to know people in our church. You are part of our family, and so how can we allow others in our family to get to know you? And that's where these conversations go. But also, we're going to steer in a direction where over these next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about community and community groups and what does small group life look like. But I want to hear from you guys. So just share with us a little bit about your background of, I can get really deep here and how you guys met and all kinds of stuff. But just share, how long have you guys been coming to Fellowship Bible Church?
Yeah, we moved here right after college, 2009. And,
what college you go to?
Liberty University.
Those we don't speak of. Just kidding. We love Liberty. Just kidding. But, we did the church shopping. And, when we moved here, we worked on the weekends, a little retreat in the area. And so as I said, the irony is that we were looking for a church that had, good small groups, and that I think it was, the Connect weekend was one of the first weekends we came to. So we could sign up and we can actually be a part and see people, because we're probably not going to come on Sunday very often. Mm-hmm. And we ended up getting to come a lot more than we thought. But
so let me pause right there, because that was 2009.
Yeah.
That was a good several years ago.
Yeah.
And you guys came around the time period where Fellowship Bible Church was looking to have people sign up to come to community groups. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you just instantly dove right in.
I'm not kidding, Mark. Seriously, we went to several churches in the area, and we were there's some good options, and we were just man, but we just know we just need to know people.
Yeah.
We need to be a part of that. And so honestly, that it's funny to think about in the hindsight how that really was a big reason why we continue to attend FBC.
It's I love hearing stories of how people got plugged in, or how they found our church, how they came to kind of say, okay, this is going to be my church home. You guys came at it from a bent of, I want to meet people. I want to get plugged into a smaller community. How did that balance out with the size of the building? Was that intimidating for you guys when you're thinking, I want to get part of a smaller group of people, or was that just did that flow naturally for you?
I wasn't intimidated by that. I don't think we were.
That's good.
By the size, but
yeah,
I think also coming from Liberty and the backgrounds that we've had, we know about meeting other people and connecting is kind of how, in smaller groups, that's where you really get the fellowship. And so when we look at the size of a church, that wasn't a huge issue.
Yeah. And you guys, when did you get married? Was that just a little time before then?
Yeah, no, just that summer.
That same summer?
Mm-hmm. So I was here, I was actually working at our job, I think it was 8 weeks by myself. And so I'd go to a new church every weekend, by myself, scoping it out. And then we got married, and then I was well, these are my top 5 that we went to. So.
Narrow it down.
Yeah.
So you get plugged in right away as a newlywed couple into Fellowship Bible Church. Which community group did you guys land in?
Dude, we'll call it out right now.
Oh, yeah, Josh and Tara Jones. Mm-hmm.
Josh and Tara Jones. You know what? And the cool thing was, Josh and Tara came, they didn't know who we were. They just got our names thrown on there. All of a sudden, this minivan pulls up the road. We lived at retreat area, had a super long driveway. Is this minivan? Remember that? Yeah, they came up. We're
so
who the heck?
Cool.
Who are these people? And they're hey.
They hunted you down at your job.
They saw our address is actually kind of where on the out of town, where their side of town is, and so it was kind of funny. Yeah.
That made us feel so good. I remember that now.
Oh, yeah. What a great encouragement to leaders of just
he was super intense,
pursuing people and saying, hey, you're going to be part of our group.
Oh, yeah. And they were super, their group, it just had a good vibe. It was, comfortable, and they were very casual, and just, I remember that feeling. I'm oh, I like these people.
That's cool. And so when you get plugged into a group, you want to be able to get connected and get to know people on a deeper level than just coming into a building on a Sunday morning, coming and going, or in our case, sometimes Saturday nights, and maybe talking to people for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
In a small group setting, over these years since you've been a part of our church, and maybe even before at Liberty, what have you experienced in a small group setting that has been valuable to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know how valuable it is to me because when I was in high school, like, we had a really bad youth pastor, like, situation, as in not one. And so, like, they saw, like, our head pastor, who's honestly, like, my best friend's dad, you know, so that, you know, I had the inside track there to get mentored. But he just saw, like, a few of the guys that just had no one pouring into him because there's some turn with youth pastors. And so he just poured into us. And, like, my senior year, like, I just saw how that changed me so much. It made me want to go to a Christian school, just changed my, I guess, intensity to want to know the Lord, things of the Lord. And so I was just thankful for that. Liberty really emphasizes small groups, prayer groups. They have different hierarchies of just, you know, discipleship. And so every Thursday night, hall meeting night, you know, all these Liberty people out there listen, you know, it's you're going to that Bible study or you're skipping it, but you're hopefully going to it. And it was always just important. It's part of our lives, and it always has a benefit. It just always has a benefit, different levels of benefit, but it's always good to just talk about things with the Lord, about other believers intentionally, you know, and there could be different levels of how deep you go, but as long as, like, that's the focus, that's what we're doing at some level in this group right now. Like, you just don't walk away from that thinking, that was a waste of my time.
Yeah.
No, you just go, that was great. So,
Michelle, how about you? What have you kind of learned in the value of community groups over the years?
Yeah. Definitely, I feel like, you know, teaching a lot of times sometimes can be the emphasis of a group, whether it be a community group or, like, we had prayer groups at Liberty. And that's great. I think Bible teaching's awesome, but without relationship, it kind of is just, I don't know, kind of empty. And I mean, not empty. The Word of God is not empty.
Yeah.
But within a group setting, I feel like that relational part, that time when you're just sharing about your day and your week and actually what's going on in your life, is so important to me. And I feel like for all the groups I've been in, the groups who really concentrate on that first part of just, hey, how are you, you know, and just having time to actually, you know, kind of decompress and talk with each other before there's anything, you know, laid out about Scripture, you know, that to me is what's been so valuable. Those friendships and time before the meet.
Yeah. Well, paint a picture of what, you know, are there stories that stand out of over the years, maybe, you know, besides somebody coming up to your work in a minivan, hunting you down, you know, what are kind of some of the, you know, what testimonies have come out from those experiences of doing life with each other? How has it benefited you guys as a couple and as a family?
I mean, like, our entire social structure in Winchester, in a way, is rooted out of just, like, small groups. And, like, small group got us, our first small group there got us involved with Young Life, which has introduced us, like, to volunteer there and meet tons of other people. And then, you know, coming to this church because the small groups introduced us to the Adult Learning Center, where, you know, we were in the Young Adult Greens class, and they did a marriage study, so we met all of these young married couples.
That was huge. That class was really big for us.
It just completely was a launch pad for us, like, of where we are in Winchester. Why we, you know, we're not from Winchester. You know, like, when we were, like, switching jobs and we were like, are we going to stay in this area? And, like, we had such good relationships. And, you know,
that's part of coming into a town like that. You know, as a young couple, I did the same thing. I came into town as a young couple. We didn't have kids, and we're like, how are we going to get plugged in here? And instantly, it's just like, okay, where's the closest church? And then when you're there at that church, where's a group of people we can get connected with? I have that same story. And if you don't get connected from even just a social standing in a town like Winchester, you're going to get lost and you're going to get bored, and then you're going to be like, this town is not for me. But what you're saying is that it's a Christ-focused, centered desire to say, I've got to be a part of community. And then from there, I mean, you just list off tons of things. Young Life, Learning Center classes, marriage.
We have some friends, and then they have friends that go to other churches. So, like, we have a lot of Christian friends in the area that, like, or go to other churches and are just completely, like, we have different little social circles, you know, and we just dabble and pick which ones we want for those. Just kidding. We have kids now, so we have no life. But
all right, so I got that was my next thought for you.
Oh, yeah.
My next question. So we're talking about you guys being this young married couple, and now time has gone on, and you have kids now in your family. How many do you have? What are their ages?
We have four beautiful
girls.
daughters.
Yeah. And how old are they?
Nora's 7, Emma Quinn's 5, June is 3, and Sarah is 1.
Okay, so you say you have no life. So how does, I want to fast forward a little bit. How does having kids play a factor in what you're just describing of kind of getting plugged into a church, getting plugged into kind of social settings, and even going to a community group? How has that changed for your family?
Well, I personally feel like our small group is our lifeline to fellowship, and truly like those relationships that everyone does have kids in our small group, and I think that makes a big difference. So we're all on that same page of life, and like those girls, we're all on a text chain. Josh has the guys on a text chain, and we are, either if there's something big, we'll shout out a prayer request, but we'll also get together, and we're trying to make plans for this week to go out in the evening, just the ladies, and hang
without
out,
the kids,
which is fun.
Get away.
I think we've had a lot of fun together, but we found we hang out mostly with our small group now more than probably anyone else, and that's it's important for us to have that community and that support in this season of life that can feel kind of lonely. You don't want to just be watching Netflix only.
Being at home with kids or whatever the situation is.
I mean, popcorn makes it better, but still.
I got her a fly popcorn maker for her birthday. Just
awesome.
Throwing that out there.
What a good husband.
That was a gift for me too. But intentionality is just my biggest word when we have kids, because I think like there was a time where a couple years where we weren't in a small group, and we had young children coming in, and it is in the small group we're in now. This is our fourth year.
I think fourth
year.
No, sorry. I thought you were saying group. Go ahead.
The current group we're in, this is our fourth year together, third year together. I forget. Jeez.
So, okay, so you start out with one group when you first got plugged into FBC, and then you've kind of evolved or morphed into different groups over the years?
This is our fourth community group.
Okay.
We started out with the Joneses, and then we had another group after that.
Yeah.
And then we went to the Smiths it was a community group, but parenting. It was for 1 year. It was a parenting focus. So we did that and took a year off after that. And then out of that group, from the Smiths house, Josh invited a few families that we knew.
Okay.
Not just out of that group, but.
Yeah.
So you started a different group, a new group, but similar people. So there's a little bit of a core there.
It's like, hey, we know you. We kind of know you. We'd like to know you better. You're not weird. Let's do this. So we just threw out those invites.
It's nice to know that somebody thinks that you're not weird.
It is, so
it makes you feel valued.
But that's definitely where that came from.
Which I think the personal invites are really huge for groups like that.
Like to have
someone up to you.
And they have young kids. Everyone has young kids. So I mean, kind of going back to what I said, like I knew we needed to do it. We weren't in a small group at that point, and what's a better solution than just starting out for yourself? So we just knew these people. We knew they weren't in one. So no time like the present. Yeah.
So are you guys leaders of a group right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you guys do as leaders differently than when you were just coming and attending? Do you pursue people with the minivan to go hunt them down? And
we're not that cool.
Oh, okay. That's only one thing.
That was pretty special.
So from a leader perspective, kind of how does your mentality change of being a part of a group?
Yeah. It is. I mean, there is like with that though, there is a pursuing aspect of it. There is with that text chain, it's been quiet to start it up again, to reach out to people. How's everyone doing? Obviously, it's a little bit more coordination on the Michelle and I.
Line up babysitters
and structuring it. So, So, and then all the study itself, putting the time in there and man, just trying to get everyone included, because everyone's different in your group. You're going to have some deep thinkers. You're going to have some just people that love the simplicity of the gospel and just, can highlight that. And so you're just trying to get everyone to everyone has a different perspective. So you're just trying to get that out of everybody.
Yeah.
So honestly, it is just pursuing people.
So what shifted in your mentality to make you then realize, oh, I think that I should be a leader, or I could be a leader? Where did that kind of tide turn for you guys as a couple to say, yeah, I think this is a calling that I have?
Yeah.
I feel like we just saw the need. I mean, I don't think Josh ever thought like, oh, like now I have the confidence to be a leader. I think
now I've arrived. Yeah.
We've, checked all these boxes. I don't think it was that. We just saw, hey, like we could, we have gone to the Connects and looked at the sign up sheets, but really especially our generation, we're a little more like, when it comes to sign up sheets, we don't really want to just randomly sign up with people, but we saw a need for, community in just about our age group and with young families. So
well,
that's what kind of
that's very generous, and probably like there's an aspect of pride for sure, because I was like, dude, I think I could do it pretty good. I think I could,
I thought so too.
When does our community group end? I always brag on this, like 8:30 exactly,
spot on,
and I'm just like, honor your time, brothers and sisters, and we're gonna go deep, but let's pump our brakes. Let's pick that up next week. Babysitter's downstairs. Yeah. So so there is, but the thing is, what got us to the point of just like, okay, we should do it. We could do a good job. Like there is tons of hesitancy about, I don't know if we can do that, and it was just, there's risk there. And you just kind of have to, dive in sometimes. We've been, if you're coming to this church. And we came for the small groups, but obviously we stayed for Adult Learning Center, stayed for the sermons. If you want to know about the Bible, like a Bible church is great. And this church has staff for that. And so, we've been poured into for the last 10 years. So it's not like we lack confidence that we're don't know the gospel and what the climax of the universe, the narrative of the universe is the gospel. We can teach that, and the nuance of all the other theology, we can dive into it, the depth of whatever we can get to. But
and it's a little less to be scared of, to be like, you don't have to know it all, just allow God to kind of lead you one week at a time. Yeah. Have the people who he's drawn into your group come and be used by him.
Yeah. If you've been poured into for a number of years, then you're probably on track to do it sooner than later.
And there's a need. There is a big need. Yeah. Part of the reason why we're having this conversation is that there's the need for groups to grow. Yeah. So there's a desire for certain people in our church that want to get part of be plugged into a group that can't find one. Yeah. And there's a need for leaders to be raised up to do that.
Yeah. And that's where my heart is. I look around our church and I think there has to be tons of people just like me 3.5 years ago, where I'm like, I could probably do it, but and dude, you can, brothers and sisters, you can do it. There's people that need to be called out. Do it, step up, and you won't regret it, because this is the biggest thing about leading a small group. In a Bible study or anything, if you lead it, you learn the most out of everyone. Yeah. You want to learn. You want to learn about. We followed Romans. This last year with the sermons, and if you want to learn more out of anyone in the group about Romans, then lead that group. Yeah. And you will.
It's very true.
It's awesome.
And so from your all's perspective in your group right now, you just said that you guys go over the sermons.
We have. Okay. We've done, we did that this last year. We've done the
Bible Project themes.
Our first year, Bible Project, if you guys heard of that, they have theme videos, and those were good. We did those.
On each book of the Bible, there's
They have theme. Different ones. Yeah, they have books of the Bible. They also have themes, which is very nuanced, and not to get into it, but just
mercy.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's just pointing to the hyperlinks of the Bible that connect, it was good. And we did a marriage study through.
You guys have been all over the place. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Whatever floats our boat, I guess.
No. So what then is the call? If you're speaking to people listening to us and even watching to us right now, I'm hearing a couple different calls, but I want to hear it from you guys. What's the next step for somebody who is either looking to get plugged into a group, or even maybe is feeling tapped on the shoulder, they need to lead? What should they be thinking through right now?
Why don't you say, if you're not in a group?
Yeah, if you're not in a group, and I guess, I don't know how to give the best advice here, but I would just say, look around you. If you're going to the nursery every week and you see unsure if other families in line, just start talking with them. Say, hey, are you in a group? And maybe they're in a group and they can invite you to their group possibly. Right. Or maybe you just make those connections and you say, well, we're thinking about having some people over, maybe to even just talk about having a group. I mean, you could just invite a handful of families, have them over for a cookout and say, hey, like, what do you guys think about starting a community group? And that gives people the freedom to be like, hey, no. And I also would say, like, to not be afraid that, like, you're not qualified or you've not taken enough learning classes or anything, because there's so many biblical resources here, from the pastors to so many other laymen, that if you need help, you can get help. And you can say, hey, I need a little more direction in how to encourage conversation, or, hey, does anybody have a great resource for Romans, an additional one that could help me lead? You can have someone help you with the actual Bible study.
There's no doubt that the staff here and the elders here will come beside you if you want to do that. There's no doubt that that's going to happen. But yeah, I don't know. I think if you're don't underestimate just the awkwardness, the potential success, and the awkwardness of just signing up on that that group connect sheet. Yep. You don't know anyone? Just go sign that up. I mean, you can snipe some people in the nursery and everything. I think that's a great idea.
Or wherever.
But seriously, like us 10 years ago, we just signed our names up and we had no idea. And generally, if you love Jesus and other people love Jesus, like, you're gonna get along to a certain degree and it's gonna be good. And then from there,
I think that's amazing. That's great. I mean, there's going to be a bigger push here with our church to call people to groups, to say smaller groups are going to be where it's at. You can get lost in the crowd with a big church. Coming on Sunday mornings is great, but that's not the only thing. And so how can we continue to grow as a body together and do that in a group setting? There's something about just being somebody's house and having dinner together and breaking and getting to know people on a different level than just talking in the lobby of the church building for 5 minutes. So there's a different level of relationship that you can grab from that.
Especially if you're new, you're not going to talk as much in the lobby with people you or Josh and I, see lots of faces we know, but if you're new, a visitor, and you're coming in, you're not going to stay really to chat unless someone really seeks you out. Right. So to be able to get plugged in would be awesome. And I guess I would also say, like, small groups can accomplish so much. I mean, looking at Acts 2 and how the churches began in homes and they broke bread together, they fellowshiped together, they worshiped together, they read scripture together, and how we can almost remove all these huge silos of ministries at the church. I mean, women's ministry can happen in your small group. Sure. Men's ministry can happen in your small group. I mean, children's ministry, you can accomplish all these things within your small group if you're intentional and seeking after the Lord. I don't know. I just feel like it accomplishes all those things without having to piecemeal out all the time. Yeah,
those are great closing thoughts. I love it. I mean, and if you are out there just kind of thinking and wondering, okay, how do I get better connected? This is the way to do it. And I'll just point you to the website, fbcva.life/community is going to be the location. And you're going to hear more about it in the weeks to come here at FBC. Sign up when the challenge for you to sign up is out there. And during the whole course of this fall, I think there's going to be more opportunities for you to serve and to get plugged in, to grow as a couple, to grow as a single person, to grow as a family, to grow as grandparents. You name it. Doesn't matter what walk of life you're in. I say, let's do it. Yeah. Let's do it together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are awesome. Josh and Michelle, thank you so much for being here.
Mark.
You're just testimony, your story of your walk of being here at FBC and how it centers around small groups is encouraging. So it's inspiring. Thanks for being willing to share your story. And for all of you guys listening and watching, continue to be a part of what we do here with the podcast at FBC. You can go to fbcva.life/podcast. Find us, subscribe, like all the things on social media, and submit questions. If you want to hear more stories and just challenge us with what you want to learn more about, with these conversations, let us know. We'd love to be a part of your life as you're a part of our lives as you listen and watch to us. So as we do this, be on the lookout. Go to the website, fbcva.life, for all those details. And until we chat again, let's let Christ be the focus of our lives each and every day.